You can accomplish whatever you can clearly articulate and envision. And I think don't doubt. I think self-doubt causes us to not put the uniform on, you know? And so don't shoot the shot because you might miss the shot. But if you don't shoot the shot, you'll never make it. So that's probably the biggest one. And then you determine your value. No one else does.
This is BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio with your host, Tyler Jorgensen.
Welcome out to BizNinja Entrepreneur Radio. I'm your host, Tyler Jorgensen. And one of my favorite things about this show is getting to reconnect with old friends, people who I've met through business and networking. And today we get to talk with Brandon Pugmire, who's the founder of ImprintCity, a powerhouse of a company out of Meridian, Idaho. We're going to talk about, man, he's got a lot of stories for us in terms of including how he's been doing this for well over 20 years. And so it's going to talk about the differences of what's changed in the industry, what challenges he's gone through, and all those kind of things. So welcome out to the show, Brandon.
Thanks, man. Glad to be with you.
Yeah. So I always start with a core question. When was that first moment of your life where you realized that you were an entrepreneur?
I think ever since I was a kid, man, I was always looking at opportunities, particularly marketing, you know. Like I remember coming to my dad and just telling him, hey, I've got this idea for how to market this product. And I constantly just focused on marketing growing up. Love, obviously you start to attract to those types of things. And so as a kid, I was pounding doors, mowing lawns, selling stuff. And it's been kind of cool to see my kids kind of go through that. They've got the bug too. So.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've found in interviewing now for, I think this is year 15 or 16, that it's one or the other. It's either I was born like this, like from 5 or 6, I was hustling and figuring out ideas and doing things, or it's people who are like later in their life, they just became a professional and kind of got fed up of the way things were being done. And so you fall into that first camp of born that way and just built as an entrepreneur. What was your first business venture? And maybe it was this, but what was that first thing that you did that was like a real business?
Honestly, it was this. Yeah, it was this business. I served an LDS mission. I came home, started, I actually enrolled at Boise State and was walking on the basketball team. And then I met my wife and decided to I knew I wouldn't play. I'd just be riding the bench. And so I decided to drop out right on literally the day you could get your funds back before. I'd been going to classes, already had books and everything, but I decided to drop it and move to Utah to chase my wife. She was going to school down there. And
Well,
then,
keep going.
Well, then I was looking for a job and I got a job at a t-shirt company, actually in their warehouse, helping with shipping. And then it just kind of morphed, and I saw an opportunity with that company. It's actually called Del Sol. They did color change inks and basically color change products from UV.
Well, I remember that from the 90s.
Yeah,
that was big stuff back then.
It was. Well, so I actually started working for them, and then I saw an opportunity to leave. In fact, they were kind of starting to do a licensing model, and so I opened up two stores in Alaska along the cruise ship lines. And so I had a store in Ketchikan and another one in Skagway. We're looking to open Juneau. And every day during the summer months, you would get 3 to 6, 7 ships dropping off people with money to spend. And so we had a relationship with the cruise ships, and they would kind of do a spiel for us on the ship before people got to the port, and then when they unloaded, they just come flocking into the store. So we did really well in those stores. I think I did like 1.2 million.
Wow.
In about 4.5 months from those stores. And anyway, during that, I don't know why I had this aficionation to embroidery machines, but I did. I saw a show on PBS or something. Somebody was doing embroidery, and I saw the machines. There's huge machines with all these long heads, and I thought, man, I'd love to get involved in that someday. So the company that I worked for was wanting to get into embroidery, and he said, yeah, we're thinking about doing some hats and getting some embroidery going. I said, hey, if I bought the machines, would you give me the work? So they said, sure. And that was a huge learning curve. In fact, they were very generous because the first order I did for them was actually horrible.
Oh, wow.
In hindsight, it was really bad. But we ended up doing quite a bit of business with them, and I used that account to kind of just start the process. And so I had 2 embroidery machines in my garage when my wife and
Okay.
I got married. By the way, I did marry, her, chasing her in Utah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was pretty cool. And then I ended up selling those stores, and since then have expanded and brought on screen printing, and we eventually bought a sign company, and
Oh,
now
wow.
we do paper printing, and
Yeah. So give us that overview of what is Imprint City. What do you guys do? Who's your ICP? Like give us the current overview of the business.
yeah. So we're kind of in a kind of a I've spent the last 5 years developing something that we're about ready to launch. I'm so excited about that. But so right now, yeah, we do embroidery, screen printing. We sell promotional products. Pretty much anything with your name on it, we'll do, and then signs and paper printing. So business cards, brochures, all of that. It's a competitive market, and
Hmm.
we deal with a lot of people. We're competing with a lot of different places online
Yeah.
and local. And what I found is that most shops are mom and pop shops. And then you either go from mom and pop to kind of middle of the road, and then the big boys, right?
Right.
But there's not very many in the middle of the road. Most of them are mom and pop shops. So felt like we had a little bit of a competitive. Don't get me wrong. We're a mom and pop shop. We only have 15 or 16 employees right now. Um, but we've got some great accounts, and have developed some great relationships. And because of that, it's allowed us to develop our own platform. We're hoping to launch in the next 45 days or so, at least beta wise. And
Cool.
we self funded it. Super excited. Um, but it's been a beast.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge.
Well, let's dig into, a little bit of this. You've maintained, you're 27 plus years into this business. You've expanded what you guys do, but you're still a boutique kind of mom and pop shop, under 20 employees. And you mentioned great accounts and great relationships. What have you learned about the importance of relationships in business through your time running this
Well,
business?
this is going to sound stupid and crazy because I love marketing. I've been around in marketing. I mean, we met at a ClickFunnels conference. I don't know
Yeah.
how many years ago, right? And but I don't do any marketing. I haven't to this point really done much marketing at all, and I don't even have a sales team. So my entire business has been built on relationship and referrals, like literally.
Wow.
But all of those years, I've been banking all of that knowledge and kind of formatting and planning what I'm going to do, and partially holding on to doing things because I didn't want to distract myself, because I obviously could have started doing marketing, but I've been really just pounding the pavement on this particular project because I think it's going to be massive. So, and I'm excited to
Yeah.
share more about that
Yeah,
too.
and so I know you've got something new coming, right? But you've also survived for approaching 3 decades on the power of relationships. What advice or lessons can you share about like how to foster relationships like this?
Yeah, so obviously just taking care of people and being personable and following up and staying connected, and I can't even say we've done a really great job at that, but I have with the key accounts that we work with. And but when you take care of people, they talk about you and they refer you. And I've been really grateful and really fortunate to work with some amazing people. And some of those experiences, like for example, even ClickFunnels, we've been working with ClickFunnels since their inception. Been an amazing account. Russell's an amazing guy, and his team's really great. But that story of even how I got that account is incredible, right?
Let's
And
hear
it's
it.
and it's through connections. So, well, a buddy that so this is interesting. So, back in 2008, um, the economy was struggling, and I was trying to decide if I'm going to stay in business or not. And so, I basically I fasted, you know, seeking the Lord's help, trying to figure out what to do. And I had this dream that night, and I won't get into that, but it was really cool. And it kind of just gave me hope. And then literally, like, I think it was a week later. Well, I'll tell you the story. It's pretty cool. So I had this dream. You know who Dan Kennedy is?
I do.
So I was reading a book from Dan Kennedy at the time, and then I fasted. And that night, I had this dream, and I was in a new home, and I went to go somebody knocked on the door. I went to go open the door, and Dan Kennedy was standing at my door, and his arms were full of gifts for my family. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So I woke up in the morning thinking, oh, that was kind of a cool dream. And then it was later, it kind of hit me. It was like a zinger, just like, hey, you need to do what you're reading.
That makes
right?
sense. Like you've been given a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and so I decided, okay, I'm going to do what I'm reading. And at the time I was part of Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle. I don't know if you were part of that at all, but Dan Kennedy teamed up with Bill Glazer, and they had this basically chapters in different cities all over the country. And I would attend, and I met some really cool people in that. And anyway, 2 parts to this dream were really cool. Is I decided, okay, I'm going to do a sales letter just like Dan Kennedy talks about. And I did a sales letter. We sent it out to 5,000 recipients, but I did a 7-page sales letter because his ultimate sales letter book, The Ultimate Sales Letter, he's like, long copy always outsells short copy. And so anyway, so I sent out the sales letter, and I got $120,000 in orders off of that one letter.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just saved my butt, and then the cooler part to it is then I went to a Dan Kennedy Insider Circle meeting, and in comes Russell to speak to our group, and I didn't even know who he was. But the guy that came in with him that he used to work with, one of his partners at the time, Garrett. Do you know Garrett?
Depends which one.
Not yeah.
Yeah, I know Garrett.
So he came in, and I knew him because he was actually he just for literally like a month or two was going to our church, and I met him there, and then we saw each other at the GKIC meeting. I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I work for Russell. And I was like, I didn't even know who he was.
Well, and not many people did know who Russell was back in like 08, 09. That's
dot-com secrets era.
Yeah.
And so, but Garrett's like, he's like, what do you do? I was like, I'm a t-shirt company. He's like, oh man, we need some stuff. So I literally started doing just little jobs with ClickFunnels before they even started, actually, with dot-com secrets. That's kind of how that started. But it was amazing how that Dan Kennedy connection to all of that, right? And it was really cool to be full circle in Dallas a couple of years ago and meet Dan Kennedy in person. And I had already actually messaged him and told him that story. And he was like, can I use that in my book?
That's cool.
So that was pretty cool. But yeah, that was a cool experience. So that's kind of how I got connected to the ClickFunnels.
So, I mean, when you're looking at the entire rise and several side shifts of, Russell and ClickFunnels and everything that's happened there, how have you ridden the ups and downs of that? When your business is built on other people's momentum, right? How do you plan for that? How do you adjust when the orders stop, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, they haven't stopped.
No, not them specifically.
But I know what you mean, and yeah, it's. I mean, you've got to adjust just like anybody else, and don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? And so when I say I haven't done any marketing, we've done some.
Right. I love that you said we haven't done any marketing. Then you just outlined this entire 5,000, person drop of a long form sales letter.
Yeah. The funny thing about that is the hilarious and stupid thing about that at the same time is like, well, people are like, so did you keep doing it? No, I didn't.
Yeah, but you still could, right?
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I did dabble in different things. I did another mailing. I actually, I got $20,000 on this other mailing, and we didn't do very many of it for a hat promotion that we did.
Yeah.
I've tested different things, but I haven't been consistent.
Are the majority of your clients based near you, or do you kind of target regionally?
Yeah, the majority are here, but we ship all over the place.
Sure.
Yeah, we've got a lot of customers all over the place.
So as you got momentum, you just shared a really cool kind of case study about how you built some of your momentum. But as you were running your business, what was one of the first major mistakes or a major mistake or setback that you experienced, and how did you overcome it?
Um, so I think part of the problem is business came pretty easy, and I was like, it's going to come easy, and I took a lot of risks, and so I took some stupid risks and bought into inventory, some inventory that I probably shouldn't have, sat on it forever, really hard to get rid of it, some of those types of things. So I've learned obviously over time to mitigate the risks and make smarter decisions and kind of be a little safer in that. But I still take risks. Don't get me wrong. Like uh, I'm just doing it a little bit smarter now. You know.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So explain that. Explain one of those inventory buys where maybe you realized, oh, that, we're not going to do it like that anymore. And what do you do differently now?
Yeah. I bought $40,000 in inventory from this company, and it was a niche product, and I thought I could liquidate it pretty quick, and I just couldn't, and it was tough.
Yeah. So the
And
lesson is what?
I think the lesson is just be more calculated, make sure that you've got backup plans. It's not all in one area. Um, so I mean, that's probably the main learn from that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, cool. And so you've got a handful of kids, and have they worked in the business with you? Do they help you? How
No,
do you run the
ironically,
business as a family business?
yeah, ironically, no. My kids really haven't been involved in my business. I mean, they've helped and
Sure.
definitely help. And we do events all the time, and so we started doing. In fact, I reached out to Russell's team about, I think it was about 3 weeks before Funnel Hiking Live in Orlando, and I was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing a swag store?" And they're like, "That would be awesome. Do you think you could make it happen?" And so we did, and we took about $25,000 in inventory that first year out there, and I brought my whole family to work
Yeah,
with it,
I,
and
I
we turned it.
remembered that. That's why I was like, I've seen them in the business, so I know what happens
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they came out to do that, and then we've done other events. So like we do this other conference in Boston every year. In fact, we're getting ready to do that in June, and it's a big one. There's 9,000 people at that one, and we do really really well at that one. And I've taken my family every time. So we turn it into a family trip, and they work hard, but we have a lot of fun doing it. So that's been a lot of cool. But my kids are getting older, and now I've got 4 grandkids, and so it's harder to take them on some of these trips.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Well, it's funny how time passes and we go from being the young ones in business to now the old ones in business. What are some lessons that you share with younger people when they're getting started?
well, I think the biggest one is, at least with my kids, is like just you can accomplish whatever you can clearly articulate and envision. And I think don't doubt. I think self doubt causes us to not sometimes just not put the uniform on, you know. And so, or don't shoot the shot because you might miss the shot. But if you don't shoot the shot, you'll never make it. So um, that's probably the biggest one. And then, but like you determine your value, no one else does, ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been whenever someone's been in business a while, right? They've seen different cycles, they've seen different trends have changed. What are some of the trends happening right now in your space?
Oh, there's a ton of AI, a ton of AI, especially on the design side, which is pros and cons, obviously, because AI is not really great at vectorization, and so we get a lot of logos that really have to be either recreated or can only be printed digitally, and which limits or affects pricing. I mean, we're adapting to that. That's no problem.
Sure.
But I think the biggest one is, and I don't see a lot of mom and pop companies going where we're going, but we're going digital. We're going online. We've got a massive e-commerce build out that we're building right now, and we're getting close to 1.3 into it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's incredible. And so I think as far as trends go, like that's it. We're starting to see our stuff. We're having to compete with Amazon because they're getting into the niche printing stuff, and
Yep.
we still have the competitive advantage though, because you can't talk to anybody on Amazon. It's very difficult to get a hold of anybody. Um, we can service them way better and
Yeah.
ultimately guide them to a better purchase ultimately in the long run. So
Yeah, companies like Amazon are designed around the customer who doesn't need to talk to someone, right?
correct. Yep.
But for the people who do, which is a lot of people doing promo items and
Yeah.
printing, right? They want to be able to like have that human connection. So definitely still an opportunity in that space. You've had a long success record of doing what you're doing, and I like the advice that you share about not having, about you determining your self-worth, right? What are some of your favorite like wins or little surprises that you've experienced in your business?
Well, I mean, honestly, the referrals from people and incredible people. I mean, I've had calls from people that are just like, wow, they're contacting us. Some of them I've signed NDAs and I can't say their names because they
Sure.
don't want me to share it. But I mean, I've had Tony Robbins' office call me, wanting to know if we could help stuff for them, and um, so that's been kind of cool, and it's been really cool too to see your stuff on some of these campaigns that people do. It's
Yeah, of
been
course. That's always neat. It's like rewarding to work with people that you maybe look up to or have been aware of it for a long time and then know that you printed that or you created
yeah,
that for them. You brought their
exactly.
idea to life.
Yeah.
Um, I always think swag and printing is such a fascinating thing in the way that it can. So many businesses are online, right? Especially in the info space, and so when you can take it and make it real and bring it into 3D,
Yeah.
it's the coolest thing. So what are some cool things that you guys have created? Like maybe some really cool swag ideas or some of your favorite projects you've worked on.
Um, well, we do a lot of stuff for events. That's probably one of my favorite things because you get to see the logos and the like on so many different items, from backdrops and banners to the pens and the journals and the whatever. My favorite, I don't know what my favorite products that we've done would be. Um, I mean, I've in this process, we've developed some of our own products that I've been, that maybe they didn't even take root, but they were fun to do and we use them ourselves. So, when I mean take root, we weren't able to sell it, and monetize it that way, but we developed a tool for decoration, like, we called it the shirt square. And, to where you put the logo in the right spot. I mean, I would go traveling all the time and I'd see logos everywhere, and they're
Oh, I
just,
think it's funny because I am someone who it bothers me if the logo is printed in the wrong spot or you put on a shirt and the logo sits too high. And I've watched guys doing silk screening or doing printing, and half the time they're just dropping the shirt on, and I'm like, they didn't take any time to like make sure that's right.
yeah.
So I respect when people care about getting the logo in a good spot and in the right
Yeah.
spot.
So, I mean, we've participated in some cool campaigns, but nothing's coming to my mind of like, well, there's actually some things coming to my mind, but I can't talk about them. I've signed NDAs on them, like
Sure.
some well-known people too, and I'm not able to. I recently asked, hey, can I please? And they said no.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you guys have done a lot of different things. What kinds of trends, even just in like what kind of shirts are popular these days, or
well, so
um,
this is actually pretty cool. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say Russell had probably a pretty big impact on this. I don't know if it's true or not, Russell from ClickFunnels, but when they first came to me, um, Russell was the first person, which I actually learned a ton from this lesson. So they came to us and said, hey, we want to get some shirts. We want to give them away to, and they're like, can you give us some options? So I got them some options and they're like, no, we want better quality. I was like, okay, I thought you were giving them away, And so no, he comes back and says, no, we want better options. So I give him some options. He's like, no, you don't understand. We want like the top of the line. And he said, when we give away something of high value, they come to expect high value, and then they'll pay high price too. So it's like, that's brilliant, honestly. And so many companies give away cheap crap. that no one really wants after they've seen it or worn it once, or maybe they'll
Yep.
wear it. Maybe they'll wear it in the yard. you know,
Maybe.
maybe.
I was actually just talking with John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneurs on Fire about
Yeah.
this exact thing, and he was saying how his ClickFunnels shirt, he likes it. He still wears it. It's soft. It's comfortable. And some other shirts that he receives, he's like, I could wear it if I want, like, to give myself skin abrasions.
Right.
And so it's like you can, yeah, it's a giveaway shirt. So you can have a dopamine hit that one time of getting something for free, or you can have that ongoing like enjoyment because like, oh, this is actually a really nice, comfortable
Yeah.
shirt that I can wear
Exactly.
over and over. And I mean, if you look at like utility and lifetime value of a giveaway, obviously you should want the second one. But so many business owners are short-sighted and do the cheapest option instead of the smartest or best option.
Yeah, exactly. And I've learned that. And so I've seen literally since that moment, I've seen a massive shift, really across the industry, that if people are really serious about their marketing, they do nicer quality stuff. And then you see them wearing about it. And not only do they wear it, they talk about it.
Yeah,
And so that's huge, right?
that makes sense.
Yep.
So, Brandon, to me, business and all this stress that we go through to run our businesses is not just about money. It's about creating a life that we love. What's one item on your personal bucket list that you're going to accomplish in the next 12 months?
Well, so to be honest with you, my life in the past 5 years has been my wife would probably tell you, no, the last 20 years it's been off balance, because I've been so heavy into this project. And so I thought in the next 12 months, I should see a much different lifestyle in that regard. Cause I think at this point, we'll be bringing on people and I'll have the systems and things will be dialed. And don't get me wrong, it's still going to be a lot of work, but I think we'll be able to bring on the help to do it the right way.
All right. So, you're going to commit to me and your wife. What's that one thing you're going to do in the next 12 months to show that you're ready to live that lifestyle?
Well, I'm gonna basically delegate a lot of the stuff I do, and I'm gonna work on what I'm the best at. And I can close deals, I can sell, and really it's closing um, deals, not just sales, right?
Yeah.
So that's
So,
that's what I'm gonna
no
do. So
dream vacation, no bucket list item, no place you want to visit.
yeah, we definitely we try to go on trips regularly. We love Mexico, we love Hawaii. I would love to go to Argentina, South America. So yeah, I think hopefully in the next 12 months we'll be able to do that.
All right, I like it. What for people who want to learn more about you, Brandon? And I know you got big stuff coming in the next 45 days. So how do they make sure that they're catching it as it drops?
Well, our website's called ImprintCity.com, and it's not live right now. If you go there, it's just got a landing page. Um, but yeah, it's going to grow fast. We'll have a Fortune 500 size media campaign in literally any market we enter with no upfront costs, and we only pay if it produces. It's honestly incredible. Um, I'm so pumped and excited to do that. I think it's going to be $50 to $100 million company.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we also have a fundraising platform that we're doing. It's called FanRaise. It's a high school fundraising platform. You've probably seen those when your kids are like sending out a text or an email saying, "Hey, can you donate to this program?"
Yep. I know the two main ones.
SnapRaise, another one. So yeah, we basically have developed what they have done. We kind of took what these multiple models and we've created a model that's better. um, basically, let's say a team raises 10 grand. Typically, that 25% or 30% will go to the fundraising company, right? And which seems like it's a high amount, but before that, when they were doing coupon books and cookie dough and all that stuff, it's 40 to 60%, right? That was going back to the company. So, but what we're doing is, let's say they raise 10,000, we'll give them a check for 7,000, and then we give them a merchandise credit for 3 to use on our website. And we launched it before we actually launched it, and it started growing like crazy, and so we had to kind of pull it off until our website's done.
Yeah. But that's cool. So that's a cool way to say, hey, like you're actually get 100%, but it's split, right? Between some of it's between a credit and
exactly. Yeah, we call it the no-brainer fundraiser, where you keep 100% and winners keep all, right? So.
Awesome. Well, Brandon, thanks for coming out and for sharing your story and your message here. We're all looking forward to seeing what you do next and what comes out live. And to all my Biz Ninjas, wherever you're watching, tuning in, or listening, it's your turn to go out and do something.